Does it look right or wrong?
Yeah, well, everything except the email. There's a 9-5 at the end.
Okay,
So that was
this is my copy. So let's see, 9-5.
So it should be.
After your name,
That's correct.
L. Carter 9-5. So everyone wants to make a note of that on their contact information. The 9-5 after his name.
Oh, it is.
And then there's my card.
It's still pretty good.
And the first thing we're going to do after she printed this review the minutes. Everybody needs to review the minutes if we're ready. She's like, we can go ahead and look at mine in the back.
I was telling everybody, I think you got me on Live 360 or something, because every time I leave early for the day or take a vacation, you call me. I don't know why. I just never got it that I'm in, I mean, the other day it was mine, I had that deal in California, and I get to thinking about things when I got them in it, and now I think, well, so I don't mean to bug people. No, you weren't bugging me. I literally just left early to go home.
Okay, go to one back.
Camper ready. I'm going camper out Friday.
Can I get the new phone list in there for everybody?
He made his change on
I
his.
just, I get to
I had
thinking about
it right
that. I've
there.
been talking to Mike about this stuff.
Email it is correct.
Thought I'd check and see.
Are you ready to turn this on?
Yep.
Okay. It's 4:31. I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes of March? Are there any additions or corrections? Not, is there a motion to adopt the minutes as presented?
I'll say that.
Motion made by Tom, seconded by Tyler. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. And then on the claims, are there any questions? I didn't see anything that jumped out at me.
No, we didn't have a whole lot. I know it's like a small month.
Yeah. Okay, is there a motion to adopt the claims as presented?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Motion made by White, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Irv, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. We got several things we need to review tonight, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and get started with that. Gonzalez is coming or it's running late, but we do need to address a number of things.
Okay, so first and foremost, we need to not only make sure it's clear in here, but out in the public. The rate hike was not due to this project. The rate hike was strictly to cover our costs and finances here at this facility. So we've had numerous people with complaints and stuff saying that the rate hike was due to that, but it wasn't. It's due to the rising cost of our products that we have to buy, as far as chemicals and equipment. All the prices went up and everything. So, unfortunately, we've just had, that's why the rate hike happened. Secondly, so we have this project going on possibly down the road that would reroute Line J. But what we're finding is we're to an age point at a lot of our collection systems that stuff's starting to fail. So currently, Dunreath is down to one pump. The fluctuating power coming in from IMPA and I'm guessing Duke Energy, they're together on that. That caused one of our motor starters to burn up. So I wanted to get with you, Irv, and maybe if we can contact and see if we can get some kind of money recouped, because they knew the issue was going on, and it provides that motor starter. That alone, that soft start, is $2,035. And then obviously there'll be shipping and installation on top of that as well. We also found, so a little bit after the rain event, everything that got washed through the collection system, as it was getting pumped into Dunreath, clogged up both check valves. So Cooler came out, they went to take them apart, and they're in such bad shape, just through their age, that they failed, basically. So we're in the process of also having to install 2 new check valves, pump 1 and pump 2. And then with the check valve, the way it's designed, we're going to have to raise the header pipe and then reconnect everything.
Do you have an estimate on that? Yeah.
With that, so we're looking about $4,104 for the check valves and installation there.
Is that on Dunreath?
That's on Dunreath as well. With that, we're also going to have to do a pump and haul, so I had to get a contractor in to do a pump and haul, because while the station's down, to change the header pipe and the check valves, we're not going to be able to pump anything, so we're going to have to run a pump and haul as well. So that $4,000 is just
How long will we
those parts.
then take?
The goal is to get the check valve in first and get pump 1 running again. So I told them the longest we'd probably go is 30 to 45 minutes. They said, they're not going to be able to get it done that fast, so we'll probably end up having to do a couple, pump and hauls which will bring to the headworks and dump here.
Okay.
And then the soft start for pump 2 will take time to get that installed and reprogrammed. So they basically said it's going to be an 8-hour day out there, but we're hoping to only be down as far as not pumping anything for maybe an hour, 2 hours max. But that's why we had to have the pumping hole ready, because that Dunleary does get piggybacked on by everything north of that. So
Exactly.
it's going to have to flow no matter what.
Is now a good time to question the reroute?
So currently, you know, I've been doing a lot of thinking on what we got going on. You know, we're probably close to 10 grand in Dunleary right now, just to get it running again. With this last high flow rain event, we realized that Dunleary does not pump enough. So everything north of that spice one is pumping double almost during high rain events. So we're going to continue to have overflows until we get Dunleary upgraded. So I kind of mulled around the idea of possibly taking the reroute out of the project and just fixing what we currently have, upgrading. I mean, we'll still have the project with, you know, we're going to have to redo Flying J regardless. Dunleary is going to have to get upgraded to be able to flow more, because we can't have stuff north of that pumping more into it than what it can put out. So we're going to have to upgrade Dunleary. And then Stop 3 was on the project, put the panel on the correct side, new rails on that, and then Maze was also in that project to fix the rails on that. And then the clarifiers were to get reworked, because all the sweeper arms are all starting to break and corrode, and the whole shaft drive system going down, that's underwater, is rotting off. So we're kind of on a failure point coming into that. So I feel like just with the condition that everything's in, you know, this 30-year phase, everything's exceeding its lifespan. So I think as far as cost savings and what we need to do now is just maybe take the reroute off and not worry about that right now. We have the work already from engineers in place to where we can revisit that later on down the road. But if we don't, I mean, if we do the reroute now, we're still having to upgrade Dunleary and all this other stuff.
Money-wise, how much are you talking? I know it's a lot.
The reroute was going to be the most expensive part of the project, so we're taking that out.
So,
For, you know, maybe
how much money would that take off the table?
I'd have to go through that.
Probably
Probably
5-6 million.
Yeah, you're talking 5-6 million. Cause that's the biggest part with, you know, the land acquisition and then running that line all the way from Flying J to Louisville. That was going to be a pretty substantial part of the project, so that would cut the project easily in half by taking that out. Now we're also in the point where we're getting close to where we can go for funding, so taking that out may not be an option right now. But if we get to the funding and don't make it, then there's no doubt in my mind we need to take it out.
And we should know by July.
Yeah, July is the time frame when we should find out about the next grant cycle. But yeah, I mean, an $8 million project, cut it down to 3 or 4 by taking that out is a huge cost savings for us and the public. But we need to really start focusing on upgrading what we have in place.
And a number of these these things have been postponed for the last 8 or 10 years because our intention was to include them in the project. But now our priorities kind of adjusted and changed.
And the ARVs are also part of that project to upgrade those from Dunleary to Louisville. There's ARVs from Mays coming into the line right, the force main on 40. But the plan was to upgrade all or replace all those ARVs and actually put ball valves on them this time so we can maintenance them. Because the last project where they did them, they did put the ball valves in, so we weren't able to maintenance those ARVs.
And that's the biggest
Half of them just have groundwater that get in those. Because water's going to fall out of lose resistance that fills up those vaults. And some of them are underwater, so they're obviously not working right to begin with. So part of that ARV project is not only put the ball valves, was to put snorkels on them so they stay above water so they work correctly the whole time. There's no real way to keep that water out because those manholes are set just on top of the line. It's not like they ran into it. So all that groundwater is just fall on the gravel line that the pipes laid in, and then they fill up those manholes. So that's kind of where we are. I mean, we need to move forward with the upgrades on what we have because we're aging out. I mean, 30 years on some of this stuff. I think Generic was only put in 2014, and it's already being an enclosed building. A lot of condensation has created tons of rust and wear, and then just from when that was originally installed, it never pumped what it was supposed to do.
We've had issues from day one.
Yeah, it's been an issue since day one. For the 4 years that I've been here, but that's all I've been doing is chasing that, trying to get it better. I've got with Covalent, which is who installed it. I've got with engineers. And we're at the low end of the curve. And then there's extra head that was missed somewhere. I don't know if it was them thinking that Mays and Dunleary were going to communicate originally, and one was going to pump, and the other one would pour off till it's done pumping, but during high flows, Dunleary will run non-stop. So that wasn't going to work. They weren't going to be able to have Mays not pump until Dunleary stopped. So I think that's extra head pressure that's kind of for some of the issues. But if we don't do something at Dunleary, we're going to continue to have overflows because it does not keep up with anything pumping into it right now.
And it's now a good time to talk about our financial obligations to Gonzales.
So we've been kind of, I would say, unhappy with results we've got so far. I know there was, the merger where they picked up the other business that we currently have the project through.
We switched engineers.
Yeah, so the engineering that we're using now bought another company that we were using. They retired. They bought it up. We've used them the last year, roughly, maybe not quite a year.
The other engineer we've been with for 20 plus years.
But we're basically, there's not been good communication. We're not getting results. We've got a lot of money already in this engineering, so that work's all done. That's something that regardless of what we decide to do going forward, we're still going to have to pay for that because that work was done. But we've kicked around the idea of possibly looking at different engineering groups. Get someone that's still local, but someone who will be invested in this place and communicate with us and give us the results need going forward. I know this project was put off for a lot of years. We were trying to get grants.
Well, with COVID, put it like that.
We're to the point where we have to start doing some of this stuff, so we need to get results going forward.
Well, and they're not here right now, and they should be.
So, I mean, I brought Connie in last week and just kicked around a bunch of ideas, got a bunch of information on what we can't do. I also talked to her about the Dubringer property, because I was going off the information that the former superintendent and engineer gave us that, we couldn't take that. Well, if it is a food manufacturing company, absolutely we would not be able to handle that.
Do you want to explain the Dubringer property?
So the Dubringer property is a property that's at the very end of our line on north end of 400, and currently it's in agriculture. It's trying to go to light industrial. It's in litigation to go to light industrial. So originally it was going to be a neighborhood. We were going to take it. If it goes to light industrial and is a food processor, we're not going to be able to handle that much DOD. So we were in discussion with Newcastle to allow them to take over that part of the territory and kind of go from there. But one thing that we kind of want to make sure we still keep in the back of our mind, like if it's not going to be a food processing setup, and it's just going to be, a factory that just has restrooms and a small kitchen or something like that, that's something we can still handle. So we just need to kind of keep that in the back of our mind.
But you mentioned it is in litigation. How long do we anticipate knowing anything about what's going to happen to that property? Do you have any idea, John?
I don't know if there is a time frame. Really, it's just...
Yeah, there's no deadline, I would anticipate within the next
2 years.
3, no, it should be before that. I would say we should know something by the end of this year. I feel like that's pretty safe. It's been filed. He amended his complaint, so I can check with Corey Murphy and see exactly where that's at. But yeah, it should be resolved, I would think, by the end of this year, calendar year.
And we did have a discussion with Greg York from Newcastle, and we talked about with that being our territory, that there'd be some kind of reimbursement for the line that was already laid from Fair Oaks to 400. I think we kind of all agreed that that's something we'd be able to work out down the road if it does come to that point where Newcastle takes that area that goes to a food processing facility like the board said. We'll be able to handle that. I also, in conversation with Connie, so Flying J is one who installed that lift station, and they own it technically. We were just taking the maintenance side of it to keep it going. So I guess we need to find out more information. I know Flying J is part of this the project. Even if we go with or without the reroute, Flying J has to be rebuilt. That whole lift station's corroded, fallen. The walls of concrete are collapsing and falling off, and the pump rails are completely broken due to hydrogen sulfide buildup in there. I know for years they let campers dump at that facility. That causes a lot of corrosion with the septic hauling in campers. So I'd say that's a big reason why that lift station is corroded as bad as it has. But we need to try to find something and see if that's a cost that we would be able to pass on to them to recoup, to rebuild that lift station.
What kind of recourse would you suggest on something like that, Sean?
Well, we need to find out It's the first I'd heard that they actually owned lift
Yeah,
stations.
I've forgotten that, it's been
So
25 years.
whatever the original, if we can find any original documentation, there should be some sort of an agreement. I would hope that spells out what our obligations are, their obligations are. Hopefully that would detail it. I mean, short of that, then I think we just send some sort of communication and say, here's the situation, we anticipate X thousand dollars of cost, and you're the sole user or primary user, and we'd ask for a contribution of whatever.
Because that was something I wasn't aware of, that they built that
Right,
physically
that's
owned it. I assumed that we did that here. I guess that was my
Yeah.
misunderstanding, being in this position 2 years, I'm still kind of learning what we fully own and what we just service. So, speaking with her,
Anyway, let's try.
yeah,
They also built theirs.
that's new information that came out, so that could also save us a lot of money on this project as well, if that cost does go to them on that. But yeah, I think we just need to, really take a look at what we have and see the condition and start working on upgrading what we have and maybe bypass this reroute for right now. It'd be a pretty big savings.
Do we have a pretty good idea of the approximate cost of doing these things? Because some of the
So in the engineering
plans,
preliminary paperwork, it gave me some,
ideas.
it gave you rough ideas of what it would cost for some of it, but the way it's broke down, it kind of bounces around between the reroute and
And pricing's changed so much in the last 2 or 3 years.
the cost of any metal,
Yeah.
stainless steel is obviously be probably more expensive than what they have on there currently with the market the way it is.
So we're kind of in a position right now where we've got to hold off doing anything to see if we're going to acquire any funding, correct?
Yeah, we need to hold off to see where we are, if we're going to fall in this funding. And then that's where we'll have to make a decision at that point to move forward with the reroute. But if we don't get the money, there's no way that we can afford to put another rate increase on there to pay for that project.
So if we do the upgrades, then can we do like a SRF bond or something like that, or can we seek different financing to where we can afford to go ahead and do those upgrades without doing another?
We can kind of stay in the area where we continue to try to chase grants and keep putting stuff off. But we can't wait till everything fails. So
that's kind of why we're where we are now.
That's why we are.
The position we were in 8 years ago was, there was gobs of grant money available, and then COVID happened, and everything's changed, and everything's tripled in price.
And I think the opportunities to apply went from 2 to 1.
Oh,
and then how that happened, so if we fall in the category, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be picked.
Exactly. Yeah. Like they normally will set out, this group has made the first waiver, and then they'll do the final decision. What's happened, we've made it at this point, and then when they come out with finals, we weren't making it because of same thing as we are, but their customers are paying this amount, and what ours is, they get the grant funding, and that's what we ran into, where we can't get funding, because we've kept our rate so low over the years that it's really hurt us in the grant funding and kind of money received from the station.
Projects. Based upon our knowledge now, though, how do you feel like we're going to rate it at, or do you have any?
This would be the first one,
Any idea?
the rate increase, so we won't know until we get through the first round of it. And, you know, I'm sure a lot of other communities are in the same situation where we are, you know. They have aging infrastructure that's starting to fail, so more and more, you know, townships and rural areas, wastewater treatment plants are all putting in for this funding as well, so we get through the
Very competitive.
time, it's hard to tell.
I can agree with that. I know it is. It's just trying to figure out a way. Is there anything that we can do on our part, though, to help increase our competitive edge in any way, shape, or form, other than what we've already done?
The rate increase was the big thing.
Yeah.
And other than that, I mean, we're in compliance really well with everything, and that sometimes kind of hurts us, but
So, on that, do we know if we made the April 1st deadline?
as far as I know, we did, but we won't know until July 1st.
Yeah, he
How's that?
called that day.
And it was submitted.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he was getting it submitted that day, April 1st. That was the cutoff.
But now we wait 90 days to see what the outcome.
But I have not updated.
So if we rebuild what we have and bring it up and bring it up to modernization, so to say, are we gonna have to increase pump size, or are we just gonna be able to go through? Or
Generally, you're gonna have to increase pump size.
But will we have to increase diameters for it to handle the volume?
Currently, no, they didn't act like the line is gonna be any hindrance.
So it'll
It's
handle
the pump itself. Because originally, the way it was brought up was it should have been stacked V pumps. It should have had 4 pumps. Well, engineering and the supplier kind of went back and forth, and they went with just the 2 pumps, and it's never
just
done.
not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough to keep that.
And that's just in that one station.
That's just the one station there.
A lot of the thinking on doing this project was the new infrastructure, the possibility of it going in at 370, and that is just not happening. There's no new hotels, there's just no fast food, just not the need that we anticipated and hoped for 10 years ago.
So maybe I'm getting ahead, so I'll wait till you get that.
So, I mean, the reroute was to not only help keep some of the flow off Dunreath, but it was for future growth, knowing that Flying J and 3 and 70 is going to expand, but it's not done anything.
It's not happening.
Since the project was even initially talked about. So, I think we just need to definitely, we have to upsize Dunreath for sure, no matter what. And then the ARVs and the stop 3 and
We have to approach it more realistically.
Yeah, we have dreams of what you want to come to town and what you want to grow as a district, but it don't make sense to lay another line in place for hopes of growth when what we have currently is aging out and failing. So it makes more sense to upgrade and fix what we have in place now and worry about a reroute later down the road if something more serious were to come and 14 of them, I'm pretty sure Donna's
That
signed
sounds
off on
right.
those, and then Brad has 4 more that are ready for sign, and I held off until we kind of.
How long are those good for? Just until they have a new property owner, or is there a time frame that those easements?
I mean, I've not seen it, but typically, I mean, something like this, an easement, I mean, it's not just for construction, right? I mean, it's for
Yeah,
when the pipe is
our
there.
easement, so once it's purchased and went
Yeah.
through it, we own that easement, so even later on,
Yeah,
it's already in place.
Even if
The
there's a new
acquisition
property
already
owner?
there.
yeah, it'll run, it has to run with the land, because you're not gonna, like, if I buy a property, I can't take the sewer out and
Well,
say, well, I don't want
that's
this,
good to know
yeah.
that will
Yeah.
remain in place.
I think that's the way it
The work that's been done by the engineering group will still stay in play. It's just possibly taking out, that one major portion of the project for not only the cost with, the return on investment on it right now is not the greatest with no development in that area. The big return on investment is going to be upgrading Dunry for one, so it'll prevent any overflows in those areas, but just getting stuff upgraded to where we're not constantly maintaining and fixing and sending people out and trying to find parts for stuff that's obsolete. A lot of these 30-year lift stations, a lot of those
And now
parts are obsolete. Those companies that even supply some of this stuff are out of business.
So on that note then, if we're looking at rerouting all the electrical infrastructure to supply more current flow there, is that something we may need to put in the back of their minds, that we may need an increase if we redo that
It would
station?
still only be a 480
Still be
station.
480.
Yeah, it's just, basically you're just gonna put stack pumps, so that doubles the pumping off each pump compared to a standalone single pump.
Okay.
And the reroute is not picking up any.
Not at this time.
At this time, yeah.
Yeah,
There's no
originally we
development.
thought there might have been new developments that, 15 houses here, 20 houses there along the way,
There was
and that
talk
didn't
of
happen
some
either.
neighborhoods possibly going in along that as well, that have not come to fruition as well, so.
Any other discussions on the project? We just right now kind of need to hang tight and wait and see how we fall in the funding category. That'll give us a better idea, but we'll have to be ready to make some decisions by July.
On that note then, where are we at with that last little presentation for the bond thing through them? Are we just gonna wait and not do anything with that until we figure out where we're gonna go?
I think we should.
I think that's the way to go then,
Not in-
because, yeah,
The atmosphere that we have going on right now, to take a loan out and pay them.
yeah.
Customers are not gonna be happy about that.
I'll let you tell the whole story, 'cause I'm sure a lot of you guys don't even know.
So I sent out an email, and I know you weren't here yet, but, Gonzalez contacted Baker Tilly, wanting them to talk to us about getting a bond anticipation loan to pay them until the project goes through, and then we get to pay ourselves back, with that. So they never mentioned it to us when they came in here about paying them ahead of time. They just kind of went to Baker Tilly and, wanted them to just go ahead and do it. So Ross called me wanting to find out if we knew about it or not. And I told him they had said nothing like that to us about doing any of that. They wanted to add more money to the project, but they never said nothing about paying them before the project was
Did you have the price tag on that?
no.
And then the extra money that was added on, so, their fees, what they were talking about, the extra engineering, that was for work that was added to the project. They just, obviously they didn't have needs for us then. I contacted them, we went over it, and it was for the work with the raw ditch and the VFDs out there. Because the raw ditch currently, the valve stem broke off, and we can't get back on it to even shut that ditch off. It is under concrete catwalk, under about 8 foot of raw wastewater, so we can't even get to it. So that was part of the engineering cost increase, was to figure out how to fix that, and then the VFDs on the rest structure was that extra, like 68.
Yeah, because they need to be
that they talked about last meeting.
They need to be enclosed because the weather gets to them and they freeze and everything.
The ones that
They're
are
supposed to be in a building.
the ones that are installed out there currently were not rated for exterior environment. They were made to be in a panel, and they never were. So every winter they freeze up.
We've had a few really cold days this time.
A couple of times, like just the whole screens, the sun, where you can't even read the screens anymore to make adjustments on them, hardly. So, those were something we looked at that we needed to get upgraded within the plant so we don't have those working properly.
Last question. So the condensation inside the Dunley station, has that been a contributor to any of the failures in the breakers or the boxes or any of that?
The power wise, I don't think that the wear that's happening with inside Dunry is due to it's being overworked. It's on the low end of the curve, so it's just constantly, having to work harder. And then when you get heavy rains and you get high flows, it's ran up to 48 hours straight at one point that I've seen since I've been here. So that's a lot of wear and tear on it. Yeah. Now the exterior look of the stuff, some of it looks really rusted because of that condensation, but it's not caused any damage. Maybe some of the little wiring within the panel caused some stuff, but we went through, snipped everything, relayed everything, make sure we got good landing spots. When we first started having this power issue. But yeah, the main issue there was the overwork of the pumps, and then this power surging back and forth has caused the start to fail.
We're just really trying to figure out what brought that on, because up until last year it was working fairly well.
We had a couple years ago. So what I was told is there used to be 2 banks that supplied that area, and they took out a bank maybe a year and a half to 2 years ago, and that seems to be when we first started seeing some issues. And then, you have anything consistent every 6 months, something might happen, and then here within the last 6 months, it became a major issue, and it was constantly causing a trip. And then, the power surges. Whoever's causing that is what's fried.
The reason I'm asking is if I go to input, I want to make sure I can answer some of these questions that you asked me. And if we're going to seek some sort of financial
long as I'm available, I got no problem going with you and helping answer any of those questions.
Any further discussion on the project? Zach, you want to bring us up to date on salary ordinances and job descriptions?
Okay, so currently, we have our 2 maintenance staff. I kind of came to the realization that Mike is currently already doing the Tech 2 position with the on-call backup. He's been doing it for probably the last 4 or 5 months, so he's been super reliable. He's done a very good job of helping, down at Dunreath and get all this stuff going and figuring out the issues and, it's on-call backup to where even when he's not on call, he shows up for that support. Covers weekends when people need it. Like, just an unbelievable job for someone, at that year and a little over mark. So what I would like to do would go ahead and put him in that position like I was before I moved into my position, and that's the Tech 2 spot. That puts a little more responsibility for the on-call awning, and it also puts, more responsibility for the facility and taking over the safety award platform to where, when we do the LE safety stuff, he's going to be running all of that now.
And does that adequately compensate him?
So yeah, with that, we went back to the records and it showed, we're looking at the same compensation of a $4,000 raise to the salary with taking the Tech 2 position. So I think it's well deserved. He's done an excellent job. But obviously, that comes to the personnel committee for that suggestion from us to move him to a Tech 2 position.
I think he's ready. What do you think?
Well, currently, there's only just me and Herbs on the committee.
Yeah, we'll have to revamp that. But Zach did revamp the job description to align with the responsibilities and roles of this position, and I think it's more than fair.
Initially, I wanted to say it makes sense, yeah.
So, I've sat down with him, kind of went over it, explained everything that, the extra responsibility that comes with that position, and he has agreed to do that. So, that's step one, is making sure, they're willing to take on that added responsibility. And there's an understanding there, and he agreed to that, so that's why at this point I brought it to the board to move forward with the moving of the job description for Mike to go to the Tech 2.
So will Chad move up, or will
Chad's will still be a Tech 1, he's still at that position. Tech 2 kind of is more of the head maintenance position, so, when we brought them in, they were both in the same Tech 1 position. This would be moving Mike more to the head position to where not only the on-call responsibility does he take it over as a backup before they contact me, it also puts, him as, the collection system and the maintenance side, it's going to be
more on this guy.
more on him. I'm passing some of that stuff on so I can focus more on, pre-treatment and all our plant stuff that we're currently going through, projects and all that. They're, for the first year or so, I was still helping out with a lot of the on-call and, obviously the training and getting ready to be able to do all the field work on their own. And they've both done an excellent job, but, Mike's been the one that I feel is shown initiative to want to move to that position, and been very willing to step up and help Chad on any on-call situation, or just any time he's needed, he stepped in that role. So I think he's been well
I can
deserving
tell
of that.
you that this year alone, he's had 54 hours of comp. So that's time and a half. Because he spent a lot of time at Dunbury.
He's put in the work for sure.
Those they've been down a lot of those. Do we have to have a third member, Tom? What do you think? I'm not sure about that.
You
We're
really
just
know.
making a suggestion to the full board anyway.
I think we need to compensate employees as,
Absolutely.
needed. Do you want to go into how this would affect salary or anything? Or not?
So salary, it would just increase his salary $4,000 from his current.
But it's comparable to what we've paid in the past,
Yeah, it's the
correct?
exact same offer that I accepted in the Tech 2 position when I was in the maintenance field. The only thing that we pulled away from that was the office responsibility.
Yes.
We're trying to keep that between the office manager and me, and then
Is that temporary?
so he'll learn office stuff later down the road, but currently we feel just less hands handling money, leave less opportunity for something to occur or be wrong in anything, as far as, the reporting of money and all that. It's just, if you have a lot of hands in it, it makes it more confusing. So I think we keep it narrow to the 3 superintendent and 2 office staff. I think that's sufficient. Now we'll still be able to answer phones and take calls, but as far as handling money, we want to keep the maintenance staff kind of out of that currently, but also, with everything going on in the aging facility, we need these maintenance guys in the field as much as possible. So I'm already to the point where, once we get Lisa trained in the office, we want to pull her in and start using her in the lab a little bit too, because I want to take the lab off them. I'm trying to spread the workload between everybody, but also give the maintenance guys the full 8 hours to do maintenance. Because, they're losing 1 to 2 hours a day doing lab. So it would help them be in the field more to get more preventative. We got away from fix on failure. We are preventative now, but we just ran into a point where, we're at an aging facility where a lot more stuff is starting to fail. So I want them to be more hands-on out in the field and not have to worry about doing the lab side. So,
What's Mike's last name?
yes, sir.
Yes.
And he's been here for over a year, correct?
Yes.
You want a motion?
Yeah, is there a motion to go ahead and move Mike into the level 2 tech position and compensate him as Zach requested?
I'd make the motion that we do look into that section position with the wages increase to, $4,000 reflection. Approximately $4,000, that's, that'd be commensurate, but I think that's the right one. For the duties that she's going to perform.
Now, when would this go into effect? Effective?
So I have it, that's the pay of this month, the next pay.
Effective next pay? Yep.
Next, effective for the next pay.
There's second. Second by Herb, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Then do you want to go into the other?
One final thing on a good note.
Yeah.
So I was in contact with a facility that was interested in purchasing our truck, our former service truck. They came out Friday, looked at the truck. They were very interested, they basically said, it was sold, but he would still like his staff to come down to look at it at some point, so we're not 100% sold yet, but we did go ahead and pull the certificate of title from safety deposit box. That way we can move forward, go ahead and have that signed by you or Donna. I'm sure you probably have a little more experience than these
Do I
than I
need
do.
to sign that now, or?
As long as, I think, just as long as you don't put the buyer's name in it, right?
Yeah.
Well, we wanted to make sure.
So that way,
Of course, the seller.
this would just keep us from having to track anyone down later
Yeah.
when the sale does go through. I think, we initially had a price of 10,900. We said 10,000 was the minimum we would take, and that's the number that they threw out was 10,000. They thought was fair for this condition of the
Put that
truck.
on there until your
Yeah,
price on
yeah,
there.
the price is not going to go on there, but we at least fill out.
On the day,
Yep.
we do need to put, well, at some point, you need to put the mileage on there.
Yeah, the mileage and all that.
Unless it's exempt, I'm not sure.
No, it shows the mileage and all that stuff on there. I was hoping that we got the approval today from them, but he just wanted to have his staff do one final.
Well, as far as the sign that we can do that, won't see a problem with that, do you, John?
No, I think as long as you obviously hold it till the deal's final, sure.
I've just never done a transfer of title, so I want to make sure we did it right.
The other alternative is you could have your motion, I guess you've already kind of authorized the sale, but you could have a power of attorney, the BMV has a form, so someone else could sign for Donna.
Yeah. Because on here,
Whatever.
I mean, it's just going to say South Henry Regional Waste. It's not set to any one person, and it basically just says seller must complete this, and it wants you to put the name and then the position of that person. So I took it even, I could sign it if I had to.
Yeah, I think.
Kitty?
Yeah, I think, and especially like you guys wanted to make a motion today that I think you've already authorized a sale with a minimum, with a floor of $10,000. So you can authorize Marissa or Zach to sign upon completion of the sale.
Let's do that. Is there a motion to authorize Zach or Marissa to sign the title when they sell the service vehicle? Motion made twice, seconded by Tyler. All in favor, say aye. You guys just hang on to that. So. And then you had another salary ordinance, correct?
So I'll just leave this, adopted. So I updated my new amount on here. And then I also took the previous, amount off for the office assistant and then added Alyssa on here.
Do we need to do anything, for cell phones or anything like that yet?
Mm-mm. Nope. We just need to adopt the new salary ordinance for the updated one
But it's the same, correct? The, I mean, for
for the new amount.
both.
Yes.
So I just redid the whole thing. So like Zach and mine all stay the same, and Chad, the amount for Mike would go up, and then
And we're just changing Lisa out to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there a motion to do that? Bring our salary ordinances up to date.
I make a motion to bring our salary ordinance up to date.
Motion made by Irv, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tyler. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Motion carried. Do we all sign this?
yes, it's on the record.
And then you want to go into the text thing, or?
Oh, yeah. So, we were having some issues with getting information out to our customers. So I've been kind of looking into some different things that we have available other than actual mail
Or Facebook?
or Facebook, yeah. So we use Invoice Cloud for our,
Yeah, that's all part of the same thing.
yeah, that's just the actual amount.
Oh,
So,
Yeah, just keep it together.
we use Invoice Cloud for our online bill pay. So they also have a package that you can buy for outbound campaigns, which they do voice, text, and email that we can set up to say whatever we want, and then they can mass them out to everybody who's in Invoice Cloud, which is almost 60% of our customers right now. Of course, the idea would be to try to get more people, signed up with Invoice Cloud with phone numbers or emails, so that we can get more people, because we just had a lot of people aren't taking the newspaper, so they're not getting
Information.
from.
And it is costly to do a newsletter, which we have done in the past.
Yeah.
Because you've got the cost of getting that printed up in the mailing, like at $1,000.
So currently,
Just to do a mailer.
we're using, the people that receive paper bills, if there's anything, we normally put on there. If it's something, like the rate hike, we had to put it in 2 newspapers twice. But, a lot of people aren't
Filled up
getting the
with
paper anymore,
information.
and a lot of people don't always, they see their bill and they just look at the total and they pay it, they're not reading, if there's any notes to it. So this would be just another way to communicate.
I
with
kind of
the
like
public.
the text option the best. I think more people would benefit, but we could post, we'll be closed Wednesday, July 4th. Or we have a snow day today, can't make it to the office. Marissa can do that without making it to the office. Yeah, things like that.
So their cost on these, the minimum that you would have would be $100 a month. The emails and the text are 10 cents per text or email. So if those months that we actually would use it, it could possibly go over $100 because we do have a 1,043 customers. But, it's way less than trying to do a mailing, because those one-time mailing, because we don't have, a permit at the post office anymore. Since we don't mail our own bills anymore, we pay Keystone to do it. So we would have to pay full price. And it's getting ready to go up again. Or,
So you're talking at least $1,200 without the cost of printing. Just
Right.
for the mail.
right.
I had a question, it just asked.
So the minimum we would pay for the year would be $1,200 for the entire year.
Do they have a trial? Or do you sign, what kind of contract you have to sign?
He didn't really say, and I don't know if it said on here. The way he talked, I mean, if we use it and, you know, we're not completely satisfied, then we just quit, you know, turn it off. But to me, you know, most me being the front line because of customers coming in, it seemed to be beneficial,
It would be, yeah.
you know.
Well, I know we talked with people, I'm sorry, Luke, no, you can go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, you said $100 a month,
That's the minimum.
so is that, that's the minimum, there's, what, you said 1,140,000?
There's 1,043.
That's if you got all their
So
If we got all their information.
So 10 cents